wanted to cool down. Hello and welcome, this is Giraffe Reaction Zone. We are again on Monday. It's not special, but it is because it is. Special has to be moved. Anyway, this is a great video nevertheless, because we're getting 3 massive heavy hitters in our power level section. It is Kuma, it is Nightmare Luffy and Gecko Moria. Fully justified, all characters. Definitely check it out. Not to mention about the backstory of Brook, one of the cleverest and most surprising, intriguing character in One Piece. Enjoy! Episode 378, we starting Monday, we're not doing special, we're doing One Piece because we just had a massive episode previous day, Sunday. So let's see what's gonna happen. What's up? I need to adjust the speed though. Not the speed, the voice. Tell us the name. Oh yeah, alright. The successor. The man called Blackbird. The Fire First 2nd Division Commander. Okay, what about him? Has been imprisoned in Impel Down. So Blackbird won that fight? Ace is in prison. I just wanted to cool down after yesterday's episode. What? I mean, there was a kind of suspicion that it might happen, but holy shit, and why Iceberg is on this? The secretary wanted. Alright, we're getting super serious stuff now, let's go! Top dogs, yeah! They could completely change the pirate era. Interesting. So they're running away with Moria. I need to be super focused because I'm still affected after that episode, after this Zoro's, I don't know, trial? Holy shit. And let's go. The whole treasure. Nami is satisfied, for sure. That's all thanks to that Perona lady, isn't it? This is the zombie shadow, the zombie, the General Zombie has her shadow. Holy moly, she's giving treasure. A storm is coming. Is Zoro up? Zoro so badly hurt. Definitely. Oh, so they know what's happened. Alright. Zoro is almost dead, yeah? Holy shit, on the verge of death. Yeah, this moment. That was literally too much for me. And now I know Ace is imprisoned. What is happening? There's always a big reveals between one arc and another, isn't it? This looks like one of them. Last time we got bounties, isn't it? For Luffy and others. Holy shit. Hope Zoro gonna recover somehow. How he could withstand that? I mean, it's only fatigue and pain, so technically it shouldn't wounded his body, but Chopper said he's never been that much wounded. Nothing happened, yeah. Nothing happened, my ass. That was a great moment. Holy shit. I did knew that Zoro is respecting others and he's doing that more than others. Like his level of respect is way above than others. He's like treating, you know, the positions between the crew, is the friendship, but the position that he's the captain, that he's more important because he's the captain. The whole positioning, who is who for Zoro. It gives much more weight than for the others. For Zoro, this is really, really important, which is why he was the one which was complaining, if I can say complaining, when they want Usopp to be back. He said, no, he need to bloody apologize. And now it's this. It is really, really fits for his character. Holy shit. That dedication wasn't for show, definitely not. Rabbit knows. Insensitive question. All would matter. They just repeating Sanji's line. I hope Chopper can make a miracle and put him on his legs again, because he will be like, oh, I don't know if he can fight anymore. The recovery will be tough for Zoro. Unless it's gonna be another episode, he will be alright. Who knows? It's One Piece. I mean, it's probably funny stuff here. However, I'm still kind of in shock. So, because I just cool down, and after a couple of hours, I start recording again. Holy moly! Oh yeah, they taking care of Zoro. What is this dance? So it's oh yeah, he's a musician. Yeah, that brings memories. He also saw what happens. He make a fool of myself. You bore the same resolve, yeah. Still it was kind of silly because I don't think so he will take Sanji's head instead of a Zoro. He was already determined because, you know, all of a sudden he will take a mouse head because they will be like in a line. So it's the first one that matters the most. So what Sanji was doing, he was just adding the prize that he wants to share it. He wants to give his life to. So because of Sanji, that's my opinion on the matter, that almost both of them were taken out. However, maybe if they will split the pain of Luffy, maybe Zoro wouldn't be that wounded. Tough to say after the fact. However, I do appreciate Sanji's resolve, but I found it really unnecessary. I know he felt bad for that, and I'm not blaming him at all. He did clearly have a clear of mind while doing this. And I'm definitely liking him more because what he does, that it's not like I'm annoyed at him or something like that. No. I really have a big respect towards Sanji as well. It just, you know, from Kuma's perspective, Sanji wasn't that relevant from his perspective only. Oh, so he can sing as well? Okay. True musician. Takes me back to what? Which part you were listening that song? In Ohara? Yes, I was in Ohara. It is still unbelievable for me that that Kuma went so easy on them. Zoro's alive, he's super wounded, the rest is just fine. The one attack, that's all what it takes. How lucky they are. Giraffe reaction zone mark is there. Still. Fighting. Surviving. And waiting. Thank you, Luffy, for making my channel great. What is Brook resolve? He wants to meet him back. How and what's the plan for it? Okay, I'm waiting for the answer. So much stuff is happening. That's so sad for Labun, actually. So better do not fail him. Holy shit. Holy moly. So their crew were all musicians. Okay. Pirate musicians, pirates. Okay. New opening. Yeah, that's the end of the episode. So much and so little happened. So we getting the resolve. The Kuma literally left and left them alone. I don't know, he was ordered to annihilate everybody, and yet everybody alive. Like the only wounded is actually Zoro, but wounded heavily. Ace is in prison. I wonder what's gonna happen to Luffy if he gonna read the newspaper. Definitely it's in the news. So, and those Moria pirates, if we can call them that, already knew the stuff. Yeah, lots of things happening. Also, Kuma was having some connection with Dragon. I don't know if he had a fight with him and he respects him. Probably that's what I'm seeing it. Laboon stuff, again, Brook resolve is very good. I'm happy with that. Let's see what else gonna happen. What else awaits me. Episode 379. Let's go. I'm cooling down by a lot now. So let's see. Gonna get a backstory of Brook and Laboon now. Let's see how it was. Hard wake up. Somewhat have a liking for the music. Okay, so he just followed them because of the music, yeah? So I'm expecting they just travel like that together until they got obliterated, because he said that already, that they were ambushed by the pirates and they got killed. So I have to get prepared that they all gonna die, including Brook. Yeah, they fight even the Grand Line monsters, I do believe. He wants to travel with them. They saved his life, technically, by leaving him behind. However, you know, the Grand Line monsters, it's gonna be a problem, but the pirates not really, because he's still in the water, right? They trying to cut the bonds, yeah? With him. Yeah, they hiding. Technically it's for his own good, but where he can go, just take him with you. That should be a best. He got lost and now he got abandoned. That was the way of there for a while? Really? Ah, so they go through the same way as Luffy, eh? Okay. Huh? He came with them, yeah. So even though they left him behind, he still came with them. Why he have so many bruises? Alright, so how it's possible they got separated again then? They definitely left him here. So this is the Crocus, yeah? That's so sad, they should just take him. Water 7, Alabasta, I can tell you. They are not that terrible, actually. I will just take him with me. Return to this cape. So he was the one who persuaded Laboon. That's a better separation, let's call it. Departure. Than just ignoring him. Bunch of nobodies, literally. Maybe the captain is somewhat remarkable, and Brook knows something as well. Another rookie on the Grand Line adds not having a great future. 3 years later. 3 years! Florian Triangle. So they took them 3 years actually to go there. Surprisingly long, considering how quickly Luffy managed. Yeah, it's their flag. Yeah. That's it. In 3 years, they got annihilated, literally. And that's so sad. Hopefully with Luffy, he will fulfill his dream. That was, I believe that it's quite short video, so let's go and have another one. Episode 380, let's go! We're having a ship. Looks like the Brook is just about to lose his will, energy. Yeah, all the friends. It's like when he just came back, because it's impossible he just left all of them just on the floor like that. Ah, yeah, he made the graves, yeah. Video. Oh, he's got a wanted potter. Wonder how big was his bounty. Let me know in a comment if you know his captain bounty. Unknown virus. Wow, so he got terribly sick, and how he wants to... But is that means that his captain wasn't on board when they were annihilated? That means his captain might still live as well, if he survived the sickness. So they departed both ways, so he was not sure what is actually happening to Yorkie, right? But he didn't answer the question that he's gonna join Luffy, right? Still. What he is doing? What's that? Song? Oh. Wow. They have no chance of survival. The last song. Oh wow. Their last breath. There's a couple of them who couldn't even stand up. Oh wow. Wow. I'm so speechless. Oda had that wonderful idea, and I'm scared of his ideas as well. Damn. It is sad. And you know, the thing, like, even the last song, that they are not afraid of death is so strong. The will. It's a farewell song for the pirate group Rumba Pirates, yeah? That's so sad. The backstories are really tragic for almost all of the characters in One Piece, but it is a pirate world. Obviously, things not ending up nicely. Yeah, they just dropping down. Solo! Great story! This story is so beautifully wrote that I have nothing literally to say. One Piece is simply great. Year or two? For what? For what reason now? Wow. Such a wonderful story of Brook, and it's so sad and beautifully written. I must say, I am so speechless. It is nothing literally to add. I take it, I understand it, and it's beautiful. One Piece is simply great anime, great story to tell, and it's delivering every single time. I am so happy about it, so proud of it that I can watch it, and so embarrassed that I found it that late. So with this in mind, Brook make an official statement that he wants to take 1 or maybe even 2 more years to meet him. So I'm assuming he's gonna accept the invitation from Luffy and they gonna meet with Laboon eventually. That's my understanding on it, and it is alright. Yeah, it is not gonna be a big deal unless something happens along the way, which I don't know, and I hope it will not happen. And yeah, so those 3 episodes are basically done. It's probably very shortened version because yeah, it's just a great story, but I wasn't talking too much. So yeah, I'm inviting you to the power level section. Power level section. Welcome to the power level section after long while, and in this episode, this video, power level section, this version of this power level section, I don't know what to say, it's gonna be heavy lifting, heavy hitters, 4 titles on the table, 3 characters, monsters, ladies and gents. First of all, we're gonna have Nightmare Luffy, full justification. Then we're gonna proceed to Gecko Moria, one of the 7 warlords, full justification. And then we're gonna finalize, yes, we're gonna finalize with Bartolomew Kuma, full justifications of strength. Let's dive in. But before that, I just want to remind you quickly about the rules what we're having here. So basically we're having 3 rules which we judging all of our characters' strength, which first of all is if a character can win with another character within 1 punch, that means the character is twice stronger. If the character can win a fight without fighting seriously, 1 punch or not, he is 10 times stronger. And if the character can win with a 1 punch and at the same time not fighting seriously, he's 20 times stronger. In case when we cannot apply any of the rules but the fight is concluded, the winner's minimum strength is gonna be either maximum, minimum or average strength of the guy who loses the fight. It all depends how much wounded is the winner. Let's go back to video now. As I said, let's start it. So Nightmare Luffy's minimum strength, because we start in big time. So, of course, we have only 1 encounter for Nightmare Luffy. He could even be in that state for like 10, maybe 15 minutes. That's about it. So the only thing what he could do is to have a brief fight with Oars. Yes. So what he actually did, he came there, he rescued all of his crew from crashing, mainly Usopp and Nami. And then he went into exchanging blows, yes. So, in case of his minimum strength, I'm not gonna use any of the rules. Gonna go to the second option, which means I am certain of it, Nightmare Luffy is stronger than ours, and Nightmare Luffy, if he would continues the fight, even though ours is immortal, Nightmare Luffy wins. So minimum strength of Nightmare Luffy is gonna be either minimum, average, or maximum from ours, depends on how wounded Nightmare Luffy is. And he was unscathed. So Nightmare Luffy minimum strength is gonna be maximum strength of ours, which is 13,596. Now let's go to the maximum strength, because this was also shown. So Nightmare Luffy was using several variety of attacks to beat ours, and the key point is that was several attacks. All of them were serious attacks, and he needed more than one to win with ours, which means he cannot beat ours with one punch, one serious punch, which means he is not twice stronger than ours, and that's gonna be his maximum strength, ladies and gents. Ours average strength this time I'm gonna be taking is 10,129 times 2 gives maximum strength of Nightmare Luffy, which is 20,258. Massive strength, massive amount you're gonna see in a ranking. Why? You're gonna see the next character strength, and you can kindly compare it. So average strength for Nightmare Luffy is, ladies and gents, 16,927, and this is case closed. Second character is another heavy hitter, is the warlord itself, Gecko Moria. I can tell you straight from the bat, all titles is acquired. So, minimum strength of Gecko Moria. When Luffy came to beat him up, he was in his base form, yes. And he was trying to land some punches, however, he struggled by a lot only with his shadow. And that's the key thing, because then the fight was here and there, not a big deal happens. However, Moria succeeded one thing with Luffy: fool him around. He literally traversed into the whole forest and left him there, then he swapped direction. And during this whole time, Luffy had so much time. He wanted to get Bat Shadow. He knew he needs to do everything before dawn, and he was kind of serious for that. Again, he was warlords. He cannot give himself going easy on him. However, he still have a gear 2 in his sleeves. So, taking all of that to consideration, because Gecko Moria succeeded, I'm gonna say that Gecko Moria won with Luffy base form without fighting seriously, because that was only his shadow. That he was simply sitting. I know, slightly controversial, but fooling him around to such a degree. Again, I'm not saying that he won with one punch, only without fighting seriously. Do not using those shadows to gain to his body to get stronger. So only the minimum, only using his shadow, 10 times Luffy base, 7,060, and the maximum strength it's gonna go to, ladies and gents, Nightmare Luffy. Nightmare Luffy face ours, yes, however, Gecko Moria was inside it, and he was using at a certain point a pistolet. Serious attack, one attack to ours through Moria's face. Later on, we saw Moria face being kind of devastated, and then he used the storm. The key thing here is that between those sequences, between the pistol and the storm attack, they didn't show Moria at all. He was in kind of unconscious state, and then when the storm happened, okay, Moria got more hits, but we cannot tell exactly what state he was. The thing what we know, that after that storm, Moria was out. Literally, he needs some time for his recovery to get up. What I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna say, I know it's slightly risky, but you're gonna see it is fitting within our norms, that Nightmare Luffy beats Moria with one punch. Fighting seriously, one punch win. Which means Gecko Moria is at most twice weaker than Nightmare Luffy. And we know Nightmare Luffy's strength now, which means Gecko Moria maximum strength is gonna be 16,927 divided by 2. It is 0.5, so we're rounding that up. Gives 8,464 maximum strength, and that gives Moria ultimate average strength as 7,762. And I'm saying case closed, because Moria didn't show anything. Loads of you will ask what about if he gonna put some shadows in himself. Then I'm gonna respond, do he even have those shadows? Because being on Thriller Bark is different story. It is the same story like Enel having his Maxim arc when he was using this Raigo attack, the terrifying attack who could wipe out the whole island. However, he could perform the attack only if he had those clouds when the Maxim arc produces, which is why I didn't treat that as his maximum strength, because first of all it takes time, second of all it has conditions. The same for Moria. He have two conditions, literally, one being on the Thriller Bark and two having those shadows. Not to mention that there is a limitation for shadows how much he can control, as we saw. So this was his maximum capabilities, but with a perfect preparation. Another example that would be when Usopp faced Luffy. He prepared himself to the maximum that Luffy at some point really have tough time to beat up Usopp, being Luffy is so stronger. So at that time, for that fight, Usopp was stronger only because he met those requirements and he gets stronger. Otherwise, at normal circumstances, for example what was happening in Enies Lobby, he's no longer that strong because he did not prepare. So preparation is a key, and I'm not taking those preparations into account because it is very rare occasion, and I'm trying to find out the average strength, which is why Moria's maximum strength is half of Nightmare Luffy. And there's also a condition that he needs some time to gain those shadows, which makes him vulnerable to hit. Next, but it's very hard to justify Kuma's minimum strength for this point, because with his fight with Zoro, he doesn't really connect the proper single attack. So I do not know if Kuma could win with Zoro with a one punch or not, because he does not connect it. It's a problem here. So and because I try to find some facts, I'm skipping out completely Zoro and Kuma, and I'm not gonna use neither for minimum and maximum strength, so don't you worry. So for minimum strength for Kuma is actually his Ursus's shock, basically the condensed air which he was attacking. That is an AoE attack, the very range attack, which he basically hit everybody. But let's focus who he actually taken down by a one punch, and I'm gonna be adding those strength. Zoro? Nope. Zoro was up after that. Luffy was unconscious before. Those characters I'm skipping. But we have Sanji, and we saw Sanji later on, but the shape what Sanji was in, he was like lost. He only could withstand on his legs just to get killed. That was his idea. So, and all of that, because I'm taking those Straw Hats, we cannot forget that they actually fought Moria before. So for this reason, every single time when I'm gonna mention Straw Hats, I'm gonna take their minimum strength. So Sanji minimum strength, and literally every single other Straw Hats and some randoms minimum strength, all together, multiplying that by 2, because this is a one punch serious attack win, which means only applying by 2, and that's gonna be his minimum strength. So to skip all the math, I'm gonna give you the outcome, how it was. You can check it later on. Kuma's minimum strength is gonna be 12,966 minimum strength. That is the most accurate justification for his minimum strength. And Did I mention that he's getting all of the titles? Because obviously he is, and you know he's already stronger than Moria, almost twice as much. But this is his minimum strength. So now let's speak of his maximum strength. This is extremely easy. Cyborg Frankie, yes. He used his attack with his palm and he go through Frankie's chest. Frankie was flying away. However, he wasn't completely out. Barely standing, but wasn't completely out. Which means Kuma cannot beat Frankie with a one punch, not fighting seriously. That gives that Kuma is not 20 times stronger than Frankie. And Frankie having strength of 900, that means Kuma's maximum strength will be 20 multiplied 900. That gives, ladies and gents, 18,000 strength. And that gives us, ladies and gents, a brand new character, average strength. You're gonna see his placement as well as Nightmare Luffy, very surprisingly. Kuma's strength is 15,483, and I know this is very controversial. I know some of you will not like it because I was having a conversation with all of you in the comments. As always, is Luffy, as his nightmare version, can take down 2 warlords, and all of you says maybe Moria, but Kuma is definitely stronger. And those basically justification gives that Luffy is also stronger than Kuma. But I have to point out something also I'm gonna mention later on when we're gonna compare the characters. Luffy within that state can be only 15 minutes. That means if Kuma can survive 15 minutes fight, and considering they are almost equal at strength, he probably will, then he have the easy win. So eventually Kuma will be on top of Luffy. But comparing the raw power, which Nightmare Luffy and Kuma, the Nightmare Luffy is slightly stronger than Kuma. So without further ado, let's check how goes our rankings. And there we are, we're getting from the weakest out of 3, Gecko Moria, having all of the titles acquired, being in position number 12. With his strength as 7,762, he is actually above the Monkey D. Garp. However, with this we have to compare minimum strength, and we can clearly see the resemblance that they have exactly the same minimum strength. So for Garp, but Garp is still undefined character. Then we're having justified characters like Lucci and Gear to Luffy. That Gecko Moria is literally that level, still having a big advantage. It's probably like 20-30%. I don't know, I'm not checking math now. But he is stronger, he is having an advantage in fight with them, which is literally surprising considering what Moria shown. However, you know, he was playing with Luffy base, so he has to be at least that strong. So looks like that within this arc we get actually kind of stronger villain than Lucci. Yeah, and considering that he have an ace at his sleeves, those shadows prepared, almost 1,000 of them, or 1,000, I don't know, because ours was zombie number 900, so it's really confusing and giving to my head that he actually had this 1,000 shadows or only 900. However, that's what we get. He is below, as we see, the giants itself, so he is not strong as ours. So ours and Monkey Luffy Gear 3 are also stronger than him, which is valid what he says, that he wants to be a king of a pirate but based on his subordinates. So he's trying to get as strong subordinates, possibly clearly stronger than him. However, some of you says, I didn't saw it yet, that Prime Moria was several times stronger. But unfortunately, we're talking about the current Moria. Next character is Bartolomew Kuma. Also, I'm gonna speak at the same time with a Nightmare Luffy. They are kind of similar strength because Kuma is 15,500 and Nightmare Luffy is actually 17,000. So Nightmare Luffy having a proper advantage, however the disadvantage for Luffy is that he can control that state only for 15 minutes, which is very low in case of a fight. However, in a high level fight, depends. I'm still giving the favorites to Kuma, simple because of that. However, if Nightmare Luffy could be in his state for how long he pleases, I'm giving the advantage to Luffy at this stage. Okay, let's see the other characters because this is the most interesting. So, Nightmare Luffy with almost 17,000 strength, he is taking position number 2, ladies and gents. And Kuma with his 15,500 position number 4. It is a really, really big addition, really big change into the top strength characters in our power rankings. So as we see a number 9, actually we're not gonna see here, but it is Monkey D. Luffy with a guild 3-step from a 10,000, so with 5-digit number strength. Then we got in position 8, which we're gonna see here, is ours, the Luffy zombie with 10,000 above strength, slightly above. Then we get in Junkie Shotted Doflamingo, unjustified character, it's just his minimum strength, but it's worth pointing, the minimum strength 11,000. And Crocodile, one of the 7 warlords, as well as Doflamingo, with full justified strength 11,500, and they are far below those characters which we justify. The next one is Aokiji, a very significant power jump because it's 3,000 more, but again it's his minimum strength. Same with Don Quixote Doflamingo, so we cannot say for sure they're gonna be that. They're definitely going up in the ranking. Guaranteed, yes. Next we having Bartolomew Kuma number 4, the unlucky spot out of top 3, but extremely strong character, 15,500. If we're gonna compare the minimum strength though, it is lower than Aokiji, so that gives us a tell that Aokiji is gonna be above him. However, it is higher than Doflamingo, so it's hard to judge who is actually stronger, Doflamingo or Kuma. We will have to see more from Doflamingo. However, for now looks like Kuma will be the better one. Now we have in Dracul Mihawk, the Hawkeye Mihawk, or whatever you like to call him, the strongest swordsman with a minimum strength being higher than average Kuma strength, which is very telling because you know, this literally outclasses every single justified fully character which is below him because this is his minimum strength, which means I'm sorry Kuma and I'm sorry Crocodile as well as Moria Oars, they are way below Mihawk. It is like a next level in this point because this is his minimum strength. So that's a big deal. Next we having Nightmare Luffy, which is stronger than Mihawk, 15 minutes only. However, if we comparing the minimum strength, so if I would say that Luffy can handle that state for however he pleases, I'm still giving advantage to Mihawk simply because the minimum strength, Mihawk's minimum strength is far greater than Nightmare Luffy. In fact, Kuzan, the Aokiji, the Marine Admiral also have higher minimum strength than Nightmare Luffy. So Nightmare Luffy, be happy where you are now because number 2 spot is not gonna be for long. And obviously they are all below God, Enel or Enel, the electricity or devil fruit. We can see clearly that his minimum strength is also below the Mihawk and Aokiji, so that might go differently. However, his minimum strength is also lower than Luffy. And yet his maximum strength compensates. This is actually the very one example which I cannot justify him fully because it was hard to measure the extent of Enel, still skipping the Raigo attack, which was terrifying. So yeah, his devil fruit is definitely at this point the strongest, because his physicality, I would say, is way below. So basically, because of Enel where he is now, it's only thanks to the devil fruit. This is how terrifying this devil fruit is. So that will be it. I hope you guys liking all of the content, all of the power level, and yeah, one of you actually give me an idea for the next special. Might be later, might be in further future, might be in sooner future. I don't know. About 10 characters which I like the most, except of the power level, speaks about their personality, which I'm thinking it is a great idea. Maybe when I will have a free spot to fit that video in, I'm definitely gonna do it. So for now, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and have a wonderful day.